It's the most beautiful day, but it is cold. And it's really windy, and I'm struggling with whether I stand with my back against the wind and you can't see me because of the sun, or you get really bad audio, but you can see me better. So I've got my microphone all the way over here. I hope you can hear me, because the wind's coming from this side. Sorry, there's far too much information. But anyway, I hope this recording goes okay. Already found loads of really cool things, and I've been over this pasture a lot. But I'm going really slowly for once, because as you probably noticed, and a lot of you have, I do have a naturally quite fast movement. Even though I know I don't miss anything with the swing. I might miss it because I'm walking too fast. I might miss it that way, but I'm not, with the way I've got it set up, I'm not missing anything that way. I promise you, you'll just have to believe me. But it's just really lovely to be out on such a beautiful day. Anyway. It's things like this. I think I probably have dug most of the obvious signals in this field. I'd be surprised if I hadn't, but I am obviously going over stuff like this, or I haven't come across it before. Gosh, that's faint, isn't it? That's what we've got to look out for. Yeah, it's just on that side. I found a lovely buckle and I broke it. I hardly ever break the things I dig, but this one I really have. I can see exactly where a new break's been. Just there. Hate breaking things. Here we are. Oh look! It's a little Roman coin. I don't know how much you caught that because my camera bent over slightly, but it's a little Roman coin all the way down there from that tiny signal, and it's really obvious what it is. You can see quite clearly it's a Roma commemorative. You can see the wolf on that side and then Roma on that side. That's put me in such a good mood. I absolutely go bonkers for these coins. They're my favourite type, or one of them. If you look at, I made a video of my favourite bronze Roman coins, and this design was one of them. I think it was number 3 or 4. But that's a beauty. You can see the wolf quite clearly with Romulus and Remus. I think it's a Trier mint. You can see the 2 stars above the wolf. Absolutely beautiful. And there you go. There's Roma. Herbs Roma, it says. Herbs on that side, Roma on the other. What a cracker. There's loads of stuff still here. I'm really excited. Hope we have a really good day. And while I've got you, I found what I think must be a thimble. I can't think what else it would be, even though it's quite an odd one. I'm not crazy about thimbles. You may know that from previous videos. But I can't not help but be crazy about one like this. It's an absolute beauty. And I haven't cleared out all the gubbins from there yet. It might even have a thread or something on it. Just don't know. Anyway, it's an absolute beauty. Whatever it is, it's really lovely and it's proper old. Doesn't have the dimpling on the top there. Oh. I hope the camera doesn't play up too much. It's a new one, hooray! I hated the last one. I couldn't get on to terms with it at all. It drove me completely bonkers, and it wasn't cheap either, but I've actually gone and splashed out a bit on this one, and I think and I hope, fingers crossed, it makes all the difference. But I'm not sure how much you caught of the last bit because it kept on tipping forward, but I've adjusted it now. Anyway, 2 lovely finds. I honestly think you've got to slightly use the force sometimes with this machine. I've just dug something up at some depth. Now, it could have been fluke. There's a funny wind today, I'm afraid, so I'm having to stand against it slightly and put my face so it's vaguely in the sun at the same time, so I hope you can see me all right, and hear me, even more importantly. Microphone should be shielded just about. You still can't hear it. It was the smallest squeak. Now it's nothing important at all. It might be part of a Roman coin. Yeah, it's here. I mean, absolutely minute. Looks like it's made out of lead, and it's fairly disc shaped. It might have been something once, but my God, I promise you, 6 or 7 inches. Now, I've said it before about the Deus on pasture. People go, oh, it's rubbish on pasture, it doesn't have any depth. If you've got your wits about you and you've got it set up correctly, and I'll put my settings up now, by the way, in case you're interested, I honestly, that might even be silver. You've got to be listening carefully, but my God, now let me see if you can pick it up now, just here. Anyway. Now, while I've got you, I've just found a couple of quite nice strap ends. Find a lot of these here, obvious sign of some serious activity at one point. And then one of these ones, which looks like it must have been made yesterday. I mean, it's absolutely... part of me thinks it might be Second World War or something. I've been finding a lot of rifle rounds and army buttons today, but it's just the way that's been made looks to me, however new it looks like it must be old, and I've found these before here, but part of me thinks it's got to be Second World War, hasn't it? Because it's just, well, it's brand new looking. Anyway, we'll see. I'm afraid you are going to get much the same view at the moment. I can't help it, and I hope you can hear me. That's lovely. Just in case you haven't seen all my videos, there's a lot of ring pulls in this field and a lot of foil. They hold a lot of events and things on it. So I tend to ignore stuff which is obviously on the surface or very close to it. And if it's not in that section and it's down there, we've got a really good chance of it being something really nice. And it's just there. My pinpointing today is perfect, which means I shouldn't have bust that buckle. I'll show it to you now. And see how it sounds. Not bad, quite punchy. We get a lot of these here. The army, I think, stayed here over the war. Rifle rounds, you can't ignore them. You just can't ignore them. They drive you mad, but that's just the way it is. And here's this little buckle I broke. I can't believe it. I'll show you how it should have been, but they're completely charming, and that's definitely medieval. That's got quite a lot of age, and that's a real shame. Anyway. My God, the Deus is on fire today, but conditions couldn't be better. It's lovely and dry now, but we've had a lot of rain, and the moisture's just getting these small signals to really ping. Now, I think this might be a very worn boy bishop token, only because it's the right size. It's definitely got some early markings on it. Well, maybe not, but it's a flat piece of disc-shaped lead, and that was a long way down, and I could hardly hear it. I'm really in the mood for just really keeping my ears open for tiny signals, and I'm glad because on top of that, I've just found what I thought was a cut half, and it definitely looks, well, it's certainly half a silver hammered coin, but whether it's cut or not, I don't know. I think it might have been folded, and therefore it's broken off. It's definitely an early break, I think, but it doesn't look like a cut half. It doesn't look quite right enough to be actually cut deliberately, because I can see where it's curved up slightly. Now, I don't think I've broken that. I'm sure I haven't broken that, but it doesn't look that old. God, I might have to go and check the hole on that one, because I've only just noticed that it's a bit of a funny one. Anyway, it's a long cross, and it's absolute beauty. Two tiny things. Lovely. I'm on fire, or rather, this is on fire. Now, it's not the smallest thing in the world. I haven't checked it completely yet. It's just there. But my God, I'm sorry I didn't live dig it. It was just the tiniest wisp. It was the hint. It definitely wasn't iron. It was the tiniest high-pitched wisp. No iron at all. So I kept on digging. With that 13, 14 inches, easily. And it's a completely wonderful buckle. I mean, an absolutely stonking one. I don't know how old it is, but it's got to have some age. There's lots of file marks on it. That's one of the nicest buckles I've ever found. I'm absolutely thrilled. There's stuff here still, there's massive stuff here still, and it's deep. And the conditions have got to be right in order to be able to get it. That's made my day, absolutely made my day. Wow. Hi there, and welcome to headquarters, where we've got to have a quick look at this fabulous buckle. Now, I got really excited about it because the design on it is just unlike anything that I've seen and anything that I've really come across trying to research it. I mean, it just looks really early, but actually these types of buckle did not really come into existence until about the 14th century onwards, and then they continued into sort of post-medieval times. You don't get figure of 8 double loop buckles much before that, but it is just the most beautiful thing and the most incredible design. So I think it's got to be earlier. It's got to be sort of in between sort of 1350 and 1500. And looking at that, it's got to be the earlier side of that, hasn't it? It's just got to be. I mean, it is completely fabulous. And as I said, just looks a lot older. I mean, I thought that might be Roman or Saxon or something by the look of it, but I just don't think it is. In fact, I found a very similar, well, not very similar, but this is one of the first things I ever found. In North Devon, of all places. I got so excited because the design on it is so irregular and sort of primitive looking, and yet again it can't be as early as I thought it was, probably much the same age as that. Not that I don't get excited about 14th century things, it's absolutely wonderful, but my mind's eye just sort of conjured up something just slightly earlier. But anyway, these types of buckles, you just don't get them much earlier than that. But it's not to say that this is just, I mean, I think that's the best buckle I found. Well, certainly one of them. I mean, it's just beautiful. Just can't stop touching it. It's so lovely. And while I've got you, this thimble, I mean, the condition of it is just amazing. And it's just like that in that pasture. I just think things just don't get disturbed in it. It definitely dates to the 14th century. You can sort of tell because it's got a bare top to it, and it's just pierced right at the top there. I'm looking at the Portable Antiquities Scheme website. They reckon the central hole's gone by about 1400, so that dates it probably just before that. The Pass has got quite an interesting paragraph here saying, dating a medieval thimble. There may be a tendency to date those with thin walls and smaller, more irregularly spaced indentations, like this one, to the 14th century, and those with thick walls and larger, more neatly spaced indentations to the 15th century. But the two types may in fact be contemporary and used for different purposes. So it's not a given that irregular indentations and thin walls makes them necessarily earlier, but I reckon that's got to be. And it's a real beauty. Just two incredible finds from that day. I mean, I'm just absolutely blown away, really. Anyway, Tasky's outside at the moment, so that's why he's not jumping up and down and getting all upset. But let's go back to the fields. Trying to block the microphone, I hope you can hear me, but this wasn't even very deep. It wouldn't be the same if I didn't find a Nuremberg Jetton, and my god, they're in good condition usually. I haven't really had a proper look at this one yet, but he's an absolute cracker. It's a beauty. I don't know exactly which one it is, but there's so much detail on it. Not going to be a problem identifying it. Gosh, this field today has really surprised me. I'm digging very strong signals, and on a normal day I wouldn't bother because they'd be very close to the surface, but because of the soil and the moisture, etc., very strong signals are a bit deeper, and therefore I'm not being put off by them, because otherwise they're just bottle tops and ring pools. Big bits of foil and aluminium and stuff, but that's an absolute beauty. Absolutely awesome day, and it's the sort of day I could be out here for hours quite happily, but I'm not feeling 100%. Like half the country, I've got a terrible cold, and even though I thought I was getting on top of it, I'm feeling rather headachy, and I don't really think I should be out here for too much longer. But suffice to say, I found some really brilliant things, including this rather lovely cat badge. I don't know much about army stuff, but it's in particularly good nick, and it's got one of the Georges on it. GR, I can see. And I found £3 coins, and then this. Now, part of me thought immediately that this has got to be modern. This has got to be Georgian or Victorian, but I'm not so sure. I find army here and I find early here, and there's not much in between, but that needs cleaning up. I think it may be broken, and it certainly looks like it's been gilded. That looks really interesting. I absolutely love it. But I think that a lot of the signals have been like that today, and I think it's the ground. I think it's conditions. Because as soon as I've got a bit out, I think you'll see what I mean in a minute. Sounding much clearer now, even though I don't like it, because it's too close to the surface. It's very odd. The army stuff is much deeper than the medieval things. I can't work it out. I don't know why that is, if anyone can tell me. Well, it's just in there. Well, would you believe it? I think that's perhaps part of a penannular brooch with the gap there which would have held the pin. Can't think what else that is. Lovely. Well, not lovely because it's not very full, but it's definitely old. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and that was really good fun. I'm looking forward to coming back here and again doing another piece really slowly, and see you next time.